Okay. There we go.
I guess start with something that's kind of very important. Like, I feel like if people can't communicate effectively, and the answer to why they can't communicate effectively is because things are hot. That's the word they like to use is hot. So they can't communicate effectively. Then the government need to send someone who can, because they give people earpieces, and at the end of the day, people know this ain't right. They hear the rumors, so it's kind of like people are committing obstruction. It's like people committing obstruction, and the government is doing nothing about it because at the end of the day, whether people realize it or not, they're committing obstruction on the government behalf because this situation ain't right. You just can't roofie a civilian citizen who did nothing wrong with mind reading medicine and give the whole community earpieces, which is clearly a human rights violation. So there are gonna be things that are being done off the books, and that's pretty much why people are committing obstruction. And like I was sitting in the lobby, you got a family out there with a dog. That's a trigger for me. It's kind of like, you trying to, the government trying to blame this on my parents, like, but this ain't my parents' fault. Like, like how I said, your name was a trigger. Paul Malone came before your trigger name, which is Christy Wynn. And that, Paul Malone came first, and what Paul Malone triggers is threats against me and my family. And the people that put all this together are lying by omission because they're not telling the full story. Under what circumstances would a parent give their child a mind reading medicine? There's no circumstance where that's viable, unless someone ran to that parent and accused that parent's child of knowing something or doing something, and to save that child's life, the parent allowed it. And then it's a lot of stuff I don't know. So in reality, my mom or family may not even know of the medicine beforehand. Who knows what Dr. Tingle knew, the doctor that gave me the medicine, because my mom didn't give it to me. And this wasn't like a team effort, or where my family set me up with these people, and then she contact my childhood doctor and say, hey, give Terrell this medicine. My mother or anyone in my family had no contact with Dr. Tingle in the sense of this medication. You know, the government reached out to Dr. Tingle. The government reached out to my family. The government got me on this medicine. And that's kind of how everything is. So they keep trying to blame family, they trying to blame me, but where is their accountability? Because any person who has something to do with this got ties to one single person or entity, and that's the United States government. So where's their accountability? You know, and they're making me take accountability for something I didn't do. They blame my family, making them taking accountability for something they didn't do. Where's their accountability? Where's Dr. Tingle's accountability? Where's these rappers' accountability? You got the same alleged drug dealing rappers who planned this out 3 years prior to the initial start of it, walking around with earpieces, speaking to me when I turn on the TV, as if, you know, they ain't the ones that should be under investigation. What am I under investigation for? I won't do nothing illegal. My family are not drug dealers. I'm not a drug dealer. So, and then the actual drug dealers, like the mayor of my town, why not talk about him? So at the end of the day, from the from the name games they playing, the war words, the people in the lobby, it's a choice that they are making, you know, and choosing to what, how can I put this? What they is the things they choose to entertain. And they rarely entertain the facts. They entertain a bunch of nonsense, rhetoric, stupid stuff that really got nothing to do with anything. But the actual facts that we need to really be discussing and dealing with, they choose not to talk about. And another example, like I had a friend, and I really don't know this guy. I met him through another friend.
Mhm.
He came on my house, I said, maybe 8 months ago, and I was letting him record in my studio. And he came over one day with a gun and left it out on my workbench. And I'm like, why did you bring a gun to my house? I asked him. And he was like, protection, this, that, and the third. I was like, well, I don't allow guns in my house.
Mhm.
And I stopped all the music, and I was like, I don't want no guns in my house. And he was like, well, I gotta keep it for protection. I was like, what you need protection for in Williamsburg? I was like, this is Williamsburg.
Right.
you know, and I stopped him from coming on my house because he basically said to me that he go everywhere with it and he wasn't gonna stop going places with it. And I was like, well, you won't be recording here with it, you know. And my thing is, how did that slip past the government? All the security protocols, how are they allowing people walk in my house with a gun? How do you think that happened? I know the answer, but I want to see if we're going to come to the same conclusion.
You asking how the government allowed us to slip past them?
Yeah,
Was
all
it
the
a slip
security
up?
protocols. Like when I go outside every single day at night, there's satellites in the sky. I had a neighbor say that to me, like, what is that? Why is satellites always in the sky around where you live? Why are helicopters always flying over your house everywhere you live? No matter where I live, I understand that they got Fort Perry out here, but there's no military base in Gloucester. There's no military base in Kilmarnock. At least 3 times a week, helicopters are flying over my house. So satellites in the sky. So with all these protocols, how is it slipping through the crack that someone's bringing a gun in the vicinity of me? And I know you're not gonna answer that, but I answered.
No, I did. I said, was it actually a slip up?
Nah, it wasn't. It was done because of things like I'm doing today.
Mhm.
I'm so-called quote unquote snitching, and it was a subliminal threat towards me.
Mhm.
So the government allowed it. They actually pulled strings to make it happen. Like basically saying I need to mind my business. And if that wasn't the case, why did the government still use him? This individual. I go into the grocery store, and because of my thought patterns, he in the grocery store. So even after that incident, the government didn't say, "Hey, no tolerance for that," as if it slipped through the crack, and they didn't realize it. They still allowed him to partake in this whole thing that we got going on because at the end of the day, he did it on behalf of the streets. The streets do things behalf on the mobsters. The mobsters do things on behalf of the government. And it don't stop there. I turn on YouTube and you got people subliminally talking about this situation, beefing, this, that, and the third, waving guns in the background, all kind of stuff. This situation is, and then you hear people saying, "Oh, it's dangerous." You know, something about him being a snitch, this, that, and the third. The government, you know, put me in all types of danger. And I can say, well, of course the situation is dangerous, but they make a lot of threats because they don't like me telling what's really happening or what really happened, and that same guy I looked at yesterday on YouTube talking about rappers beefing, fake beef in the record label mob ties and all that, you know, with their fake beefs, waving guns, talking about don't nobody want to see anyone go to jail for the rest of life or die over some beef. And then he said, as far as he also said that they're going, that they have it out for me when it comes to women, because they making accusations like I'm a child molester. But name a child that I molested. Name one. If I'm looking at a 21-year-old or 24-year-old at age 39, who cares? When I was put on this medicine, I was younger than that. So name a child that I molested. Name anybody that I done something to like that. You can't name one, but they will reference a 21-year-old or a 24-year-old with a 10 or a 12-year-old. And so it's basically propaganda and making me look bad, and for what? you know and so that's things at face value. Now when you read someone's mind, it's not going to be pretty under no circumstances. But when you start talking facts and from an event standpoint of what happened, that's how they need to speak.
I got a question. The subliminal message was the making you out to be a child molester part of the subliminal message?
What you mean?
Because we never talked about that before.
It's not worth talking about. I choose. I don't like that. That's the highlight of everything that I said, because honestly, that's the problem. The things people choose to entertain. I just said a lot of stuff, and I don't want to even give that any energy. To be honest with you, because
No, I just wanted to clarify. Was that part of a subliminal message from one of the rappers'
no, no,
songs,
no.
or was that?
He said that they have it out for me when it comes to come to women,
Mm-hmm.
because basically siding with me that things are not the way they say it is. I can give you another example. I'm in McDonald's off of Richmond Road, and I see probably about a 16-year-old coming in, and she was a pretty young lady. I wasn't looking at her like that, but when she looked at me, you could tell that she felt sorry for me and had empathy and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I know, the lawn care company come in McDonald's talking about extra mile, as if I was checking this girl out, like go the extra mile. And then the manager of McDonald's like, you gotta be kidding me. Like she kind of stood up for me, was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like obviously it wasn't like that. And now there's this push to make this child molest thing more prevalent, and the problem with that is you're reading my mind. If you wanna, you read my mind, and it's not that I'm checking out kids. You read my mind. So if you want to interpret something and push that on me, then the type of situation I'm in, and as far as like the mind reading, you can do that. Like how I was explaining like the pink and the fuchsia last week. Like if you see something I say pink, if I say something pink and you say it's fuchsia, and it's no resolve, I'm thinking pink, I'm thinking future. 1 minute you can look at. I'm trying to think of something that changes. From time to time. That it could be one way, this way. The moon, for example, you got full moons, you got half moons. I know that we have half moons, but when I look in the sky and see a full moon, then it's still the moon. In the sense of how can I explain this better? Like, if I see a 18-year-old that's attractive, I know she attractive. I'm almost 20 years older than her. If I see a 30-year-old that's attractive, of course I'm gonna see the attraction. If I see a 40-year-old that's attractive, I'm gonna see the attraction. So basically they're crucifying me for things that's natural, and that's a natural order, and it's kind of like nature. So you can't sit up there and say that because Terrell look at a 21-year-old, that he's this or he's that, and then it doesn't help the way the media do things, and but anyway, that's that. But the moral of the story is name someone. You can they can talk it all they want. Name someone, and that name someone. That's what I say. That forget the thoughts. Name someone. And let's see what else I write down. They just try to drag my name through the mud, and that's pretty much what the dude said subliminally yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They just trying to drag my name through the mud. And like for example, like, do you think things are being forced on me? Because if I disagree with something, ultimately, what is that going to change? From the medicine, if I disagree with that, is that going to change anything? To the reasons they got me on the medicine, if I disagree, is that going to change? The government corruption, 18 years in this situation, and they say I'm in it because of accusations made. Well, why is there not a trial? What was the trial at? Oh, you hold me under the Patriot Act. What did I do that was treasonous? Last I thought, the government and the rappers and the pillars of the community created all this. I had no partake in this. And the crazy thing about it ain't like it's a situation where how they got people at Gitmo that may or may be innocent. They say there's a lot of innocent people labeled terrorists that was at Gitmo who claimed they was innocent. I claim I'm innocent because I am innocent. And for the simple fact that they read my mind and got no evidence of me actually doing a treasonous act, should have been why I should have been released off this medicine. It's one thing if they didn't have me on this medicine and I was just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, but you're literally reading my mind with no evidence of any treasonous act, and you keeping me in a situation with no due process, no trial, nothing, and that's acceptable, whether by the UN or by other governments. If Putin had did something like this, he would have got all kind of sanctions against him. But America, pretty much the biggest terrorist organization in the world, do whatever they want to whoever they want, and they mainly do it to black people because we're not powerful enough and in a position to do anything about when they do these things to our community. If anything, we turn against our own and partake in the wrongdoing of our own people, which is unfortunate, but that's kind of the way it is, because I'm like, would they have gave somebody white this medicine under these circumstances? You think they want to highlight their culture and community? No, they don't. They intentionally went to the rappers because they was up to no good. They intentionally ran to me and roofied me because they was up to no good. They didn't have high expectations. It was the shit show that they planned is the shit show they got. And now they're looking for someone to blame. And it just so happened that they want to blame me, who's actually the victim. And to prove that, like 2005,
Mm-hmm.
I was working at the Omni Hotel. I met a guy there named Arnold. He kept coming to me telling me, "Yeah, I gotta tell you something. I gotta tell you something." And mind you, I don't know this guy. And he's like, "Man, you look like a cop." I was like, "Funny, that's the same thing I thought about you." I wasn't doing anything illegal. You know, and I was like, "Funny, that's the same thing I thought about you." So he kept saying to me, "He gotta tell me something. He gotta tell me something," as if he knew me. But anyway, long story short, he tell me of this incident with 50 Cent, Busta Rhymes, and Busta Rhymes at a video shoot where Busta Rhymes' bodyguard gets shot and killed. And I'm not thinking much of it. You know, and I stopped working and moved back home. And me and one of my friends was talking, and I was telling her that story. And mind you, I didn't really entertain it to the sense of like trying to do research and Googling it to see who the bodyguard was, when it happened, where it happened. All I knew was at a video shoot. Well, I get put on this medicine, and my friend called me, and she was like, you know that thing you told me about the Buster Rhymes? She was like, I just saw that on the news, as if it just happened. So basically, this dude Arnold told me a story about a shootout at a music video set that never happened, and it didn't happen when he said it, and it was the start of this game. It was the start of this game, and I got witnesses that can confirm that. And once I'm on the medicine, Jay-Z and Beyonce come out with their Deja Vu song. Like basically that's referring to that incident that Arnold told me that hadn't happened yet. And it was the Busta Rhymes video shoot Touch It, which Touch It remix, which had a bunch of artists in it, which was rapping about me leading up to this situation.
Touch It?
Called Touch It Remix. And you can look that video up, and they talking about me in the video, and it hadn't happened yet. Like basically it was deja vu. So that's why Jay-Z and Beyonce come out with a song called Deja Vu. And referring to that incident. I got witnesses that can account that.
Deja Vu was referring to Touch It remix.
Yeah.
Song that was about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
In an incident at a video shoot
between
that hadn't happened yet, that I was told a whole year prior to it happening. Yeah. I was told a whole year prior to the incident happened that it was gonna happen.
Touch It. Deja Vu. Okay.
And I thought it had already happened based upon what the dude was telling me, but it hadn't happened yet. And then once I'm on the medicine, it happened. So it's a lot of stuff going on where, I got people that can account for what I'm actually telling you, and like I said, the Paul Malones came before the Christy Wins. I don't mean to use your name, but I'm not even sure if that's your real name, to be honest with you. I just have to, because I'm sure you gotta have some kind of clearance to speak with me. If you're a regular civilian, I apologize, but,
Wait a minute, what you mean?
If you're a regular civilian, I apologize for the sense of me sharing this with you. I would think that considering, the things I know that people don't know, that there would be some type of security measures that are being taken. As Murray McGovern, I took her for government just because of her last name. And because they played the name game.
Okay, with the assumption that because of my name.
Yeah, your name is
being the trigger.
Yeah.
That I could be working for the government.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause like another example,
I'm not working for the government.
Like another example. Like with Paul Malone, him having the same name as a guy that was a manager where I used to work. I don't think that was by coincidence. And I know people can have the same name, but when it comes to my circumstances, it's never a coincidence when things like that happen or something like that happen. And I'm just sick of the government, man. And to touch on what we talked about last week, it's one thing to get me on the medicine, and another thing the dude said on TV, he was like, everybody know what happened to him. What? Well, I don't know what happened to me. I was roofied with a medicine that the American government is telling people belong to terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happened to me? Is this supposed to be Osama bin Laden medicine or Al Qaeda? Because bin Laden's dead. You know, because I find it crazy that America is choosing to do this. So I guess people under the guise that they doing this because they have no choice and terrorists are holding me hostage. But you know that makes no sense. And another thing with that is one thing to blame this medicine on terrorists, but what about these commercials, these American corporations that are um, talking about this situation and kind of relishing and being antagonistic with the situation, like saying, "Oh, this is just the beginning." Why would you say that's and say it like you're proud that it's just the beginning? Why would you tell a hostage that that's being held by the most wanted terrorist organization in the world? Why would you say to him it's just the beginning? Why would you say to him if you got a breaking point, we'll find it? Why would you say to him, um, here to drive the Carvana commercial, here to drive you happy, which means here to drive you crazy, you know? And what about, and there's plenty of American commercials. I done seen Reese Cups commercials where they stack Reese's up like twin towers and totally, disrespect 9/11. And then when 9/11 come around, they get on TV and pretend to care. I done seen Dodge commercials referencing a conversation I had with the FBI lady I spoke with they was in Norfolk at the time that I spoke with her. Her name was Miss Thomas or Miss Thompson, something like that. And I was telling her a story. I was like, you know, when you look at 9/11, I was like, that's kind of the situation I'm in. I was like, people in those buildings, they made a choice to jump out of the building than to be burnt alive. I was like, both of those are just horrific, horrendous things that a human was going through to where instead of be burned alive, you see them jumping out the building to their death. That's crazy. And I told that to the FBI. Next thing I know, I see a Dodge commercial when they hop in a skyscraper and revving the engine and drive the Dodge through the glass off of the window. Like nothing in this, nothing when it comes to this situation is sacred anymore. They make fun of 9/11. They make fun of me. They make fun of everything these people do. Nothing is sacred. And then they're gonna say I'm committing treason. You know, I ain't committing no treason. Like, nothing is considered sacred when it comes to these people. And everybody see it. Everybody see what's going on. And like, and then Cameron says in a song, "You better be cautious, kid, for the boss of this off your lid." But it's terrorist medicine? Why would he be calling Al Qaeda the boss? But you know that, and that's what he said. You better be cautious, kid, for the boss of this off your lid. On a song, if I'm not mistaken, called Wet Wipes, which was another lie, alleging that I had a girl overseas pregnant and she had children by me, a child by me. And the crazy thing about that, I was looking at the Today Show and Jenna Bush, George Bush daughter, was on there. And of course, I'm fighting the system, bucking the system. She get on TV and said that, referring to what Cameron said about you better be cautious, kid, or the boss of this off your lid. She get on the Today Show talking about, well, my children like to call my daddy, who is George Bush, Hefe. He said that he want the children to call him Hefe, which stands for boss, which was a subliminal message to me, reminding me that I better be cautious. That's how I took it. Because when I turn on TV and turn on the channel and it's a live show, when are they not talking to me subliminally? When are they not? And then, like, because I was talking about how Rick Ross, I think last week I was talking about how Rick Ross said working with the police, acting like you know me. And then Jay-Z said up in the feds, but still holding his head. You know, street mixtapes being commissary and, well, not commissary, being visitors. And the situation is just silly at this point. It's just silly in every aspect of silly. And you know, and just like when I was in the lobby, the young girl, said something about he's dying. He's dying. I guess she was talking to me. I'm pretty much him though. From this medicine. I got a liver issue.
Why you say she was talking to you?
I don't know who she was talking to. I know she said something about dying. Around me.
The other people that was in the lobby?
In the lobby, because she got her dog with her. Which triggers is a trigger. Because my dog died and my mom didn't tell me about it. Because my dog lived with my mom. So I guess that's some kind of trigger with me.
Like, when your dog died?
I don't know. I just, figured it out. And my aunt, insinuated it. She was like, well, do you miss her? And she was like, your mother miss her too, implying that she had passed away. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, if my dog passed, she could have told me. I can handle it. And she was like, and my mom said, I didn't want to tell you, because I didn't want to stress you out.
How long ago was this?
This conversation was about my birthday, November, like 2 weeks ago. But my dog Ben died, in which I kind of felt, I had like little clues here and there that, because I was telling my mom to send me pictures of her, and she didn't send me pictures of her, and I kept reminding her to send me pictures of her, and she didn't send it.
When was the last time you seen your mom?
It's been a while. She's actually coming to see me soon, tomorrow actually. Yeah, but yeah, so and I'm not trying to overwhelm the kid and a lot of people, but it just goes to show you that they involve anybody in this situation. Is there an age limit for an earpiece? Or they just give it to anybody? And then, see, that's a problem too, because me and the government never established trust. Being in this situation, we never established trust because they done put out private stuff that has nothing to do with any of this. Nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. And quite frankly, it's embarrassing. So, if they embarrass me and put that out there, who knows what they'll put out there. So I gotta walk around on eggshells wondering if they blocking this or letting people hear this, and that's what I meant when I started the conversation by saying they don't think about the greater good and do what's best for the overall bigger picture. They don't think about the bigger picture. They got so much power and control to where they reckless and they do whatever they want, no matter how it impact me or the community, because it's all in their control, and they're gonna continue to do it. And quite frankly, I don't care if they do it. I honestly don't care. Because at this point, my reputation, and as bad as I look, I can't get any worse as far as reputation. And the crazy thing about it, all the stuff they saying is lies. And they're leveraging my thoughts against me to make it look like it's a reality. Like a dude told me a long time ago, a computer, what you put in that machine is what you get out of the machine. From the software you install to the hardware you install, that's the performance you get back in return. So my reputation is a boomerang effect of it's what's coming back into the airwaves is what people put in it. and that's every single bit of it. Because they won't let me do anything without them. I can't even play my PlayStation without triggers and people with avatars and profiles referencing something negative. And I actually bought the online pass to play online to get away from looking at the TV and deal with the negative and not because I didn't want to deal with the negativity
Mhm.
of the TV. So I said, I'm gonna buy this game, I'm gonna buy online pass, I'm gonna play people online. Well, that doesn't work because the people online that seem to be on my server are relative to this situation, and I don't know how they pull that off. It's almost as if they got me in my own server, to where, I can think of something 10 minutes later, go get online,
Mhm.
and the person I'm playing got a user profile referencing what I was just thinking that I haven't said to anyone. And same thing with YouTube. Like I get on YouTube, I could be sitting outside, and it's almost as if my mind is hooked to the cloud. I think something go in the house, and I know you got the algorithm that track and show you what they think you want to see, but not everything is something I've already watched or looked at from a different. Like if I like cooking shows, and the algorithm will show you more cooking shows, you know, because I Google cooking. But some of the stuff I'm thinking I ain't Google. I can be sitting on set thinking about it coming to the house and then something pops up in my feed referencing that. So and this remind me of this lady in where was she at? Might have been Venezuela. She was a activist and a whistleblower. And the government used bots, accused her of fraud and arrested her, used bots. She's free now. But she said, and this is how I figured this out. She was telling me how they had all these fake profiles, fake bots, like saying a bunch of stuff about her that wasn't true, or making her look a certain way. And that's what they do to me. Like they use, like if I look at something I want to order on Amazon,
Mhm.
when I go down and look at the reviews, it's all bots referencing things, whether war words and name games. So they won't allow me to have access to anything beyond them. And it's crazy, but it's crazy. But that's pretty much it. Like gonna chill out for the rest of the session in the sense of I didn't say everything I wanted to say today. But it's a little upsetting. I'm not even gonna lie. Not to where it's any danger or anything. 'Cause like when I was in the lobby, I petted the dog, talked to the young lady, whatever.
Okay.
So it's not something where there's any threat, you know. But for them to say things to me like, if you got a breaking point, we'll find it. Good luck with that. Good luck with it. I may not be the same person I was before the medicine, but these folks still ain't broke me entirely, and they won't. So that's that. You know, because like my mother said, if they unruly, you can't reason with them. Like, and she right because it didn't start once I got on the medicine. It started before the medicine. And the same way people are communicating subliminally and indirectly, they was doing that before the medicine. So that's another reason why I'm like, why would terrorists be following protocols you was using before the medicine? So I don't know where that whole terrorist thing come from. That's something that they won't confirm or deny. And that's why I talk about it. The Patriot Act, me being a committed treason, that's something they won't confirm or deny. So who knows what they're telling people while on this medicine? Maybe people are just so influenced by the Taylor Swifts and who she dating, or the young Jeezys in the streets, to where they, in the wars going on in the
Mhm.
state of the world, tell they don't really have any concern for me because they are heavily influenced by what's going on outside of this. But I only been in like 2 or 3 states. So if I only been to 2, 3 states in America, things outside of America and abroad ain't got a damn thing to do with me. So if people think they're doing a greater good by diffusing something, a much bigger or much more problematic thing, then they lying to themselves and they being played. And that was something else I saw on YouTube where they said something about they just got me along for the ride. It ain't even necessary to keep me involved anymore in the situation. They just unnecessarily got me going along for the ride because I basically done pissed the government off because I won't conform. I won't conform to their way of life. But like, I'm not degrading myself, but you get what you pay for. You know, metaphorically, you get what you pay for. If you're gonna run to someone from an urban background and think you can disrespect them and they ain't gonna disrespect you back and they gonna take the higher road, well, you should have went to Harvard or Yale for that, because I ain't the one that you gonna disrespect and I'm just gonna sit there and take it. Because you see these politicians, how they talk crazy to people, how they uh, say offensive things to each other when they running against each other, and then whoever win, the other one get on stage and shake his hand and talk about how he gonna lead the country well, this, that, and the third. If you attack my family, attack me, I'm not shaking your hand when it's all said and done and acting like we best of friends because the public is watching. Black people don't play those games. So if they wanted someone that wanted to play those games, they should have went to Harvard or Yale, into their own community, in their own culture, who will play those games. I'm not playing those games. If you disrespect me, I'm gonna disrespect you right back, and they don't like that. They think like you got a JES commercial, which is like a water treatment company, and they taking subliminal shots at me, saying things like, "We're here to keep water in its place," saying we're here to keep me in my place. Well, where's my place exactly? Black and poor. Where's my place exactly? You know, or the Purdue commercial that said, "Here, we raise our chicken right." Oh, so my mama didn't raise me right? Oh, okay, so now you're taking shots at my family and my upbringing. Well, why didn't you go to Harvard or Yale? One of them Ivy League schools who sent their children off to boarding schools, had nannies, didn't raise their own kids, got housekeepers, don't clean their own house. All they do is generate money and sit on their tail and get everybody else to do their dirt for them. Why don't you go to one of them? Are they raised right? So yeah, they take a little disrespectful subliminal shots, and I'm gonna take them right back. Simple as that, because you know they don't have any intent of taking me off this medicine. And like, there's a older black guy, one of my neighbors. He always been nice to me, and he said to me, he was like, "Man, if you keep going down the road you're going, they gonna get you." He didn't say keep going down the road you're going, but that's what he was insinuating from me standing up to these people. He just said one thing: they gonna get you. Meaning like they ain't gonna white folks ain't tolerating that disrespect. And I done had another gentleman who oversee my housing,
Mhm.
and he said, you know, subliminally, he was like, "You embarrass them, they gonna kill you." He was like, "You embarrass the white man." White people like, "I know these white folks are mad." He was like, "You embarrass them, they gonna kill you," subliminally. And that's what their intent is. That's they just and they ain't gotta do it with a gun. All they gotta do is keep me on the medicine, cause that's what it's doing to me anyway. that they told me they could take me off of because they have the antidote, but they just not gonna give it to me. You know, so so yeah, you know, it's crazy that they do things like that to us. You know, and like I said last time, with people like Muhammad Ali, Malcolm, Martin Luther King, they they kill you, they assassinate your character to stop the revolution, to stop the movement, and then they give you your flowers when it's no longer a threat. And then they say to us, well, it's equal opportunity in this country. It ain't no equal opportunity in this country. They only do things like this to black people, and they psychologically do it to where it comes off as passive, as coincidental, and accountability, but everything about it has been meticulously string pulled, whether it's blaming me, blaming my parents, blaming
Mm-hmm.
my real father, the STD scare. Basically, they leverage you and use your own weight against you. They leverage you and use, and I'm referring to me specifically. They leveraged me and used my own weight against me, and I was with the STD scare. And I had my god brother say to me, which was something I was already saying that everybody ignored. If there was a problem with the STD scare, it should have never resulted in this medicine. It should have never resulted in you framing me, set me up so you can give me this medicine. It should have resulted in you pulling me aside and saying, hey, Terrell, is something troubling you? Let's go to the doctor and get you checked out to make sure you're good. That's what people that care about you would have done. Like another one of my friends said, and this was a girl, and she subliminally was referring to the pillars of the community in my town. She was like, friends don't let friends walk around with boogers in their nose. Referring to friends don't let friends walk around with an STD scare and not tell them or try to help them. But instead of doing that, they exploit that and use that person weight against them and leverage them so they could give them a mind reading medicine and keep them on it for 18 years. That's what they did. And the crazy thing about it, at the end of the day, I didn't hurt nobody, and I don't have an STD. Never had one in my life, to be honest with you. Only had about 8 sex partners. 3 of them was girlfriends to where I didn't use a condom. I don't go around raw dogging women. I haven't slept with a lot of women, and and my anxiety caused a lot of jockage and sweating in the groin area. So it's a hygiene thing. And prior to this medicine, I went to the doctor's office, and he wasn't in this state. Ultimately, the doctor's office to where I got this medicine from, and had that checked out, had the STD stuff checked out before the medicine, which was about a year before the medicine. But it flared back up because it was jockage. I always sweat in the groin area, and I would buy over the counter medicine, like jockage cream, Tinactin, and stuff like that. So the reality is I didn't hurt nobody, never had a STD, didn't even try to hurt nobody. The government basically framed me and built it around my personal life to make it look like I'm at fault. And then not just that, like I was saying, they meticulously pull strings to leverage your own weight against you. You know, damn, I was thinking of something and I forgot it as I was continuing talking. What was it? Damn, I was in a conversation when the thought triggered, but I forgot it. There was something referring to that. But anyway,
All right, let's stop here
yeah.
so we can get you downloaded.